Welcome in everyone to the Larsonland podcast. I'm your host, Sawyer Hill, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Dylan Bradshaw. We come in here every single Wednesday and talk about all things involving the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion, Young Money Kyle Larson. Dylan, lots of drama this week. Nothing we're not used to, but a lot of different news to talk about on today's show. We're going to get to the Prairie Dirt Classic. We're going to recap that event. Also, the pavement midget race at IRP. But big news, I think the biggest news we got to touch on is the race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course from on Sunday. And tweet coming through from Bob Pockris today on screen if you're watching on YouTube. From the team, quote, "The brakes did not fail on the 5 car. Kyle got into the braking zone too deep and got out of shape." That's coming from Hendrick Motorsports, Dylan. What were your thoughts when you saw that? I mean, for me personally, I feel like from a team standpoint, I feel like Hendrick Motorsports has somewhat of an obligation to stand up for their driver in that circumstance, and I feel like I've always been a huge Hendrick Motorsports backer, but it really kind of seems like they've thrown Kyle under the bus in this deal.
Yeah, prior to that wreck, we obviously saw the contact with Almirola. I think that didn't, kind of it didn't really help the car, I would say. The car was kind of beat up. But yeah, as far as that crash, it's kind of hard to believe that he went too deep, and I would just have to say that something had to happen, whether people have talked about maybe the brake fluid boiled over. There's a ton of different things. I mean, you can look at the NBC graphic. They actually show, like, with the throttle and brake graphic that shows the 5 dots. It shows that he was standing on the brakes, and radio transmission shows that he said he was standing on the brakes. So it's kind of hard for me to believe that there was no, like, breaking anything that could have happened. They said there was no mechanical issues either, but I don't really see, like, a top tier driver like Larson, really making that mistake where he drives basically, what was it, 120 mile per hour into Ty Dillon. And yeah, it's kind of hard to believe. I'm surprised by Hendrick releasing that statement, and yeah, it's just pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I almost wonder, we with the statement that was released, is that exactly what Hendrick Motorsports has said? Because, as we all know, stuff kind of gets passed down the grapevine a little bit and it gets twisted. So I don't really think Hendrick released an official statement on their social media about the incident. It kind of came through Fox Sports and Bob Pockris. It was, I think, also talked about on NASCAR Race Hub. I think Larry McReynolds touched on it there on the Fox show, and then I think even on that on that NASCAR Race Hub show, Chad Canals was even asked about the incident and kind of brushed it off and kind of diverted to a different topic. And to me, it really just seems like it's a sketchy situation. I don't like the sound of it. I think from our point of view, I think we would really like to know what Kyle has to say about all this. Kyle declined his interview after the race. Didn't really want to talk about it. Rightfully so. Tough incident, and the biggest thing from this incident is we're thankful that both of the drivers were okay because this was a hard hit. And if anybody follows David Land on Twitter, he was there in close vicinity to the incident there at the track. And he kind of touched on it on Twitter, saying how this was a huge wreck, and that anybody that thinks that Kyle made an error or did this on purpose, they're insane. And Dylan, we've watched Kyle race for a long, long time, and I don't think Kyle's that type of driver. He's never shown that he's going to go out there and just plow into somebody like a freaking video game. I mean, that's what it looked
Yeah.
like. It looked like we were playing NASCAR Heat out there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any driver, especially at the top level of the Cup Series, would intentionally, drive into a turn like that. And I mean, if you want to argue that, he was trying to, make some time back, he was 3 laps down, so he wasn't sitting there driving super hard to try to gain position back. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. People kind of are saying that he did it intentionally, which I don't really understand that. Yeah, he got out of the car immediately, ran over to Ty Dillon. Thankfully, that honestly, Ty Dillon was there because if he wasn't there, that would have been really bad. I mean, he was heading straight for the wall, so that could have been a bad outcome if he wasn't there. I saw some people say that it potentially could have been a hit orchestrated by Richard Petty because of the Ty Dillon beef, but yeah, just a tough situation. And like you said, they declined the interview, so that's another thing people are questioning. He immediately declined the interview. They brought the car back to the hauler or whatever. They were just pretty much just kind of keeping it on the down low. So it kind of raises some question whether or not something could have happened with the car that nobody wanted to know about or so on and so forth. But yeah, just glad they're okay. I don't really buy, like I said, I don't really buy the whole it's Larson's fault, but I guess if they want to go with that, then so be it.
Yeah, and I honestly don't buy the whole there was no mechanical failure thing because obviously there was something wrong. Like you said, Cliff Daniels came on the radio just before, moments before the incident happened, confirming brake fans for Kyle, and Kyle kind of came back and said that he had been standing on the brake pedal really hard, and he had been struggling with that, and then comes into turn one and just huge impact there with Ty Dillon. But at the end of the day, glad both drivers are okay. Hopefully, this doesn't become some big deal going into the next week. Hopefully, it kind of gets swept under the rug, and we move on to Michigan next week. But wrapping up with Indianapolis, Tyler Reddick picked up his second win of the season, second on a road course. He was just the dominant guy all day, Dylan. Not much else to say as far as his race goes, but the finish of the race, just another in my opinion, I just think that this Indianapolis road course race is a joke. I don't think anybody uh, would disagree. I mean, maybe some people would disagree with that. I know some people like the road courses, but for me, the whole thing, 2 years in a row, we have a guy fighting for the lead on the last lap, potentially altering the outcome of the race, and it's a guy that is going to eventually get disqualified anyway. Last year we saw it with Chase Briscoe cutting through the grass and wrecking Denny Hamlin and costing him that race. And then this year it's Chastain using the access road, shooting way off the track, not even trying to make the turn. I mean, if we want to talk about guys not intentionally not trying to make the turn, I mean Chastain did it there and used the access road, and you know we can't. I think NASCAR needs to do something about this stuff. We can't just threaten the integrity of the races with stuff like that on the last lap.
Yeah, I've seen people talking about next year's race. They need to, bring a specific rule with the access lane, but honestly, that wouldn't be necessary if they just brought back the oval. I mean, I'm I'm all for the oval. It's historical. It's a historical venue. The history of the Brickyard 400. I mean, people want to bring up the ratings. The oval didn't have good ratings. Well, the road course doesn't have good ratings. The oval has better ratings than the road course. So yeah, I'm all for bringing back the oval. I'm kind of tired of all these road courses. It's just not too exciting. I like them in moderation, just throughout the season, but I'm just not a big fan of them.
Yeah, I kind of like, last year it was kind of something that was fresh with all the road courses on the schedule, going from two road courses to what was it, like seven or something like that. And it kind of felt fresh for a year, but now this year it kind of feels like it's too much. Kind of getting away from what NASCAR, really is and what it's been in its history. So, definitely, I think it's going to be interesting to see. I think we'll probably see the NASCAR schedule for 2023 be released here sometime soon. It kind of usually tends to be in the August September range when that schedule does release for the next season. So I am looking forward to seeing what races are gone and which ones are, switched around and stuff like that. But we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. But moving ahead onto the Prairie Dirt Classic from Friday night and Saturday night. Dylan, what a good race. We talked about it here on the pod last week with D Swab, Derek Kessinger. Man, Dylan, like I said last week, I think we're gonna have to go next year. I mean, this race was awesome.
Yeah, we've watched a lot of dirt races this year, but that was probably the one race where I was just glued to the screen at all times. I mean, there was just constant battles the entire race. Before we get into the Prairie Dirt, we obviously had the prelim night. Kyle started on the pole in the fourth feature. He picked up that win. He looked good there, so promising going into PDC. But he started fourth at Prairie Dirt. It was for the most part, it was pretty smooth sailing. You know, drivers were trying to save their stuff, not run too hard early on. We saw Shepard obviously dominate the entire race, led every lap, took home the 100 grand. But Pierce was lights out. I mean, he was probably the one guy that was kind of giving Shepard a run for his money until ultimately his night was ruined. But yeah, I mean, Larson made his way up to second. We saw him, eating into the cushion turns one and two, and his night kind of went downhill from there. He suffered the two flat tires. I think it was left front and flat right rear, and then he got those fixed up, and then he ended up retiring it with four to go. But yeah, I was really excited. I mean, especially there at the end when he made it up to second. I really thought he worked all his way through and thought he had a chance at the lead, but just didn't go the way we wanted it to.
Definitely not the way we wanted it to turn out with Larson, bringing it home officially on the books, position number 18. Like you said, Brandon Shepard just super dominant. I think Larson would have had a tough time, catching him and passing him. Anyway, even if Larson didn't have the tires go down and some of the issues he faced there at the end, but like you said, heartbreak hotel for Bobby Pierce. Kind of funny, your pick and D Suave's pick from last week. He picked Bobby Pierce. You picked Brandon Shepard to win the race. Those are kind of the two big players, and like D Suave said, I mean, it was heartbreak again for Bobby Pierce, and really, really sucked to see that. I kind of wish we kind of got to see how that race would play out with Bobby Pierce and Brandon Shepard maybe fighting for that lead. Um, but at the end of the day, Shepard took home all of the $100,000. He didn't leave a single lap on the table for anybody else, and that's definitely the way to do it. But definitely the race of the weekend in my opinion. Definitely way better than the Indy Road Course, and not much else to say about it.
Yeah, just like I said, great race. The last podcast, I obviously picked Larson, but then my pick was Shepard. Going with the stats, he had two Prairie Dirts prior to this weekend's race, and now he has three. So yeah, kind of somewhat regret picking him. I mean, it was a good pick, but might have kind of jinxed a little bit. But yeah, he was just crazy fast. I mean, leading every lap. I mean, that's all I really have to say.
Oh yeah, in a 100 lap race, I mean, it's always impressive when you can lead that whole thing. I mean, we talk about looking at like a 30 lap race and how the guy that leads the first half of the race maybe fades away halfway through, and by the end it's somebody else that kind of charges through there and ends up being the dominant guy. But this was a truly dominant performance for the Rocket One house car, and huge congratulations to those guys. And I'm sure Kyle will be back next year to try and do it again and win his second Prairie Dirt Classic. But moving on, last night, Indy Raceway Park, pavement midget, pavement sprint car for Kyle Larson. The controversy continues. Unfortunately, Larson finished sixth in the sprint car race. That was the first race of the night, 30 lap event. Kyle started ninth in that one due to a 10 car inversion. He qualified second, fought his way up to sixth in that race. Kind of easy going race there. But in the second race of the night, the midget race, Kyle started third. Drama kicked off early in that one. Kyle's jumped the start the first two times they tried to go on the initial start. They ended up docking Larson a row, putting him back to row three, starting position number 5. And it didn't take long, Dylan. Larson was to the lead in what, 2 or 3 laps. He dominated the whole thing, won the race by almost half a track, but then after the race, hours later, we kind of started to see the stuff trickle in on social media, on Twitter. We started seeing some replies. We weren't sure if they were real or not, but I think it's pretty much official now. Kyle Larson looks like he's been disqualified at the Indy Raceway Park after picking up that win for. I saw on Twitter his one of his, I think his right rear wheel was 5/16 of an inch too wide.
Yeah, last night following the race, we got a reply with a tweet that said he'd been DQ'd, but I mean, we kind of sent it off as a troll account because it looked like a troll account. Kind of worried us for a second when we first saw it, but yeah, then today it surfaced that the second place driver, Kyle O'Gara, he said that due to the failed post-race inspection, they awarded Larson the win, and they awarded him the points and the prize money. But it's a weird situation because USAC was posting, hours after the post-race inspection would have taken place, still posting that Larson won and congratulating him and everything. So it's an interesting situation that whether or not I'm still kind of wondering if it's actually official or not because USAC really won't say anything. But, like we were saying off camera, I don't think the Kyle O'Gara in second place would just be, posting that he won if nothing happened. It's just weird situation. Like you said, could be the PR stunt from USAC just wanting Larson to win. But I mean, something like that, you think they would correct it if he's not the winner.
Right, and then Kyle posted on social media. He posted
Right.
pictures of his win as well. So, kind of like a interesting situation. I kind of hope we get some clarity on it here in the next day or two. But kind of seems like it's gonna be one of those ones where we're just never gonna know. And maybe Kyle Larson gets credit for a win that he didn't actually get due to a illegal car. But not quite sure on that one. If anything develops with the story, we'll definitely keep everybody updated on our social media. But kind of looking ahead to next week, big track on tap for Kyle Larson in the Cup Series. Like I said before, hopefully there's no drama with the team. Hopefully everything is okay. Um, as far as the issue from last week, but Michigan statistically probably Larson's best track on the circuit. 3 wins there in his career. Dylan, do you think it's the week that he picks up his fourth win at Michigan and his second of the year? 2 Mile Kyle.
Yeah, like you said, 3 wins. Those came, actually back to back to back with Chip Ganassi in, 2016, then he swept the 2017 races, but he finished 3rd at Michigan the past 2 years, 6 top 5, 7 top 10s, 13 starts. Like you said, statistically, probably his best track. As far as the next gen car is concerned, I would say that it is probably performed the best at the intermediate tracks like Michigan. So, going into the race, I'm kind of expecting a decent race outcome. Um, yeah, I mean, I think Kyle will do well there. He's proven it that he's good at Michigan. His only win this year came at Auto Club, which is a 2 mile track. Bit of a different track, but still 2 miles. So yeah, I have high hopes for it. I hope the that everything lasts or with this Indy road course is kind of, taken care of and there's no issues there.
For sure. I think that, it's fun to talk about it every once in a while about you know, maybe there's some drama here or there, but I know, Hendrick Motorsports seems to kind of be relatively drama free in terms of the motorsports world. And if you follow other forms of motorsports, today a lot of drama in F1, a lot of drama in IndyCar. It seems like over the past couple weeks. So, Hendrick Motorsports is definitely the least of the drama, and it seems like whenever Kyle Larson's involved with something, everybody wants to kind of blow it out of proportion anyway. So, I'm gonna call it noise right now. I don't think it's news. Any beef with Hendrick Motorsports, but I guess we'll find out what happens this week at Michigan, and the best way to rebound from performance like last week is to go out there and win the thing. So hopefully Kyle can put on a good performance next weekend. But kind of looking forward to the rest of the week for Kyle Larson. The BC 39 starting tomorrow night, or if you're watching this on Wednesday night, the Stoops Pursuit race, and then on Thursday night, the running of the BC 39. Kyle Larson, obviously the defending winner of that event, the defending winner of both races actually. He swept the races last year, the Stoops Pursuit and the BC 39. But looking forward to that one in the Dirt Midget there in the CB Industries number 86. Kyle's always very very strong in that car. After Wednesday and Thursday, Kyle Larson's going to head over to the Knoxville Raceway on Friday night and Saturday night in the 360 Knoxville Nationals. Kind of be going to be cool to see Kyle Larson in a 360 sprint car. I think for the first time since Merced Speedway last year, in that kind of California stint for USAC. Gonna be interesting to see him there, and he's gonna get some good practice. And I think Dylan for the Knoxville Nationals, the real Knoxville Nationals, the week after.
Yeah, it should definitely be, good practice for him, seeing the track beforehand. There's been some guys running the sprint car events there, kind of getting prepared for it. So, yeah, good idea running 360 beforehand. BC 39 hopefully does well there. I think it was the what was it the last day he entered into the event, so there was some questions whether or not he was going to run the BC 39, but yeah, glad to see him running that and continuing the really busy week of racing, not really getting much breaks today, Tuesday, the day of the recording. It's really the only day he doesn't race. So just jam-packed schedule for him.
Yeah, Kyle's definitely got a jam-packed schedule moving forward the next couple weeks, and I don't think it really slows down much. Any time. I know Kyle just he ended up posting his schedule I think a couple days ago, kind of confirming a lot of these races. But if you're ever unsure about Kyle's schedule, we do keep that information in a Google Sheets and our link in our bio and any of our social media. So if you're ever curious where Kyle's racing, again, that's a great place to go check that out and see where Kyle's going to be, if he's going to be in your area, so you can head out to the track, do stuff like that. But we'll also put the link to that spreadsheet in the description of the YouTube version of this podcast, so everybody can go and check that out. We also have all the results on there too, so you can kind of see all the stats. We have the stats for all the series and all that stuff. It's all good stuff in the spreadsheet. So really appreciate it if everybody checks that out. But I think that's pretty much all for today's show, Dylan.
Yeah, that should pretty much be it. I don't really want to touch too much more on the NASCAR thing, but anyone that has like, their own opinion on it, be sure to comment that. Kind of interested to hear everyone else's takes on it. Everyone's kind of throwing out what they think it could be. Like I said, a big one I saw was the brake fluid boiling over, things of that nature. So, if you have a take on that, be sure to comment it and we'll go through, read them and reply to them.
Absolutely. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in and listening to the show this week. We'll be back again next week on Wednesday to recap all of Kyle's racing from Michigan, Knoxville, and the BC 39 at the Indy Dirt Track, as well as anything else Kyle may participate in. You never know. Kyle might fly halfway across the country and run three other races. You never know. But if you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe or follow the podcast so you don't miss a thing. Have a great rest of the week, everyone, and enjoy the on track action over the next week. We will see you in the next episode.